Hello everyone. So one more episode of the Future Proof Organizations. Now talking about consumer electronic industry, and I'm very honored to receive with me today two guys that are representing this transformation in big companies, companies like Dell and HP. So let's go directly, inviting them to the stage. So first, Eric Day, Senior Vice President in Small Business in Dell. Eric is responsible for developing and growing a global small business strategy that reaches a multi-billion dollar business with 2.5 thousand global employees. His goal is to advocate for small business across the globe and ensure that they are receiving the IT necessary to help their business grow and thrive. And he perceives the small business to be the growth engine of the global economy, and technology is most critical component to help achieve this mission. His other passion project is to advocate for workplace equality globally for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender employees of all sizes of the corporations, serving as the global executive chair of the Dell Technology Pride Employee Resource Group and as development chair of the board of directors for Out of WICO Workspace Advocates. Thank you. Welcome to the stage. It's an honor to have you here, Eric.
Mariano, thank you so much for having me. Excited about today's conversation. I don't think it could be at any better time than now to talk about what's happening in our industry. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Nice. And to be your colleague in this event, I also invited Vinicius David, head of consumer and SMB digital service for HP. Vinicius is a high-tech product and service executive with over 15 years of multinational experience, including general management of mid to large size organizations in sales, product management, and business operations. Vinicius is passionate about enabling clients, value-added resellers, and global system integrators to drive and increase IT efficiency, security, employee productivity, and accelerate their digital transformation through machine learning and AI services. As a startup board member advisor, he coaches founders and CEOs on product management and innovation, as well as how to create high-performance organizations through cultural and mindset transformation. Passionate for education, he serves as the board of Junior Achievement Norcom. He sponsors several initiatives to accelerate career development, mentors young promising executives from top global companies, and teaches a course at UC Berkeley. So Vinicius, welcome to the stage of Future Proof Organizations.
Mariano, thank you, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone tuning up here. Eric, nice to share the stage here with you, and looking forward for this discussion.
Okay, so guys, the reason of this series of future-proof organizations is to bring real conversations to the table, like brutal facts. What's happening and people are avoiding to talk about. And now it's time to talk about consumer electronics. So I will start with a first question to spark the discussion. It is a fire chat. There's no protocol in this series. So it is as we are in the bar, taking a whiskey or a beer, if you're a beer guy or a whiskey guy, or a wine or whatever, or if we have our water as well, and just talk about, and we have hundreds of people listen to us, but actually it is what do we think that they are interested. So it's about your opinions, and if you can bring like facts and history also to support your ideas will be nice. So first question, Park, how do you hire talents? You need, instead of the ones comparing how the human resource hire talents and your needs, they are quite different in demand. So how do you manage to hire the real ones that you want to your organization inside big organizations like Dell, like HP? How to create alignment with the hiring stakeholders? Have you passed these situations in your daily activities?
Yeah, let me kick off on this one. One of the biggest parts of my job is I'm one of the biggest importers of talent into the company at a very early age. I even started at Dell when I was 22, 23 years old. And we get our kind of new sales talent directly from universities. And what we've learned is partnering with universities now more than ever has become even more important. One of the things that I get most worried about is just recently I took a course on corporate strategy, and I learned that in the US, like in the US, we're learning that STEM degrees are flat to slightly down, liberal arts degrees are going up. And it's up to technology companies like Dell and HP to figure out how do we get these kids out of school, even if they've got liberal arts degrees, and bring them into organizations like sales organizations or services organizations like Vinicius, and trying to train them and give them the tools and knowledge to have a good career in technology. Because we obviously know, and the pandemic has only showed us even more, that technology is going to play a central role in the future of our economy. And the more training and the more talent breeding we can do to give the people resources and tools that they need to be successful is important. And that's in consumer electronics. That's if you're selling to SMBs, it doesn't make a difference. It's going to be tools and resources that I think you need for the rest of your career. So I think Dell, HP, other technology companies have a huge responsibilities working with universities around the world to ensure that we're instituting programs, internships, accessibility to the day in the life of working in a technology company, so that we get more and more kids that are coming out of school interested in technology. Because while they use it every day, I see kids use it every single day. What I'm not noticing is the wealth of talent that we need entering the technology industry in that kind of 22, 23-year-old kind of age, even though they've used technology their whole life. It's crazy. They've used technology since they were babies, but they're not really that interested in working in technology. And I think it's up to us to change that.
Yeah, you were spot on, Eric. And do you think, just to finalize your answer, and one curiosity from my side here, do you think this is a trend, or it's already a reality and companies are executing it?
No, I think there's no choice but that companies are executing it, because there's more technology jobs open in the market than any other industry that there is. And so if companies don't start executing this now, we're going to be in even bigger trouble. And so we don't have any choice. And so I am seeing companies like HP, like my other competitors, like startups, et cetera, going after these universities to try to give universities the skills they need to want to get kids and recruit kids out of university into the technology industry, because that's the only way we're going to get these jobs filled.
Yeah. And I think just to complement that, Mariano, I think it's been something that has been around for a century, right? Like the founders of HP, I mean, they went straight from Stanford and they were the founders of Silicon Valley, right? So it was the first tech startup in a garage here. Like Palo Alto was a place where people were selling lettuce and veggies. That's what the local economy looked like, I mean, 90 years ago, right? So Michael Dell, I mean, everything around the UT, I mean, the ecosystem of tech there, they were born, I mean, I would say inside of universities. Now, it was a choice before, and those who did were ahead. Today, I mean, if you don't do it, you die, right? But now, I think the three important things when you think about hiring, and this is something I have a lot of passion, I think the three big things is hire before you need somebody. Because the good people, they're not looking for a job. And if you're going to hire when you need, you're not going to get the best, right? So, and the second thing is actually have a list of the people you want in your back pocket beforehand. Because one day, when you have a chance, go and manufacture a job to bring the top talent right? Manufacture a job, because the top talents, they will do the work of 10 or 20 people. When we think about relevance, they will not work 10 times more hours, but the outcome they produce could be 100 times more valuable to a company. And the third one is actually, go into the trenches, right? So don't wait for your chief of recruitment. If you see a good talent, go throw the net yourself, because if you call somebody who's going to call somebody, you lost the talent, right?
But in this case, Vinicius, were you putting yourself at risk inside the organization? People will complain to you why you are doing that, or do you think today it's a like or you do or you die?
You have to do it, right? So and you need to do that in
You have to
partnership
do
with
it.
HR, because I mean the reality is the HR department growth does not follow the business growth, right? So typically, and this is where HR has to be a facilitator. It needs to provide you the tools, but you've got to go into the trenches. This is a true story. I had a person who was leading one of my engineering projects. His son was in the second year of computer science at Harvard. He participated in a contest of technology here in one of his summer vacations. One of the biggest names in technology today, one of the big internet companies here. He was aware of the project this kid presented. He sent a note to his father, the guy who used to work for me. Here's what I would offer for your son to go work for me on Monday if he's willing to drop out. And by the way, I like the product, and I would love to get that thing to be developed inside of this company, right? Like, again, he didn't call his
And
HR.
how old are the guy? How old are the kid?
He was on
How
his
old?
second year of computer science.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Probably 18,
Mariano,
19.
I'll say the only issue that, and again, this is where I think I'm more focused, is that the size of the talent pool is what keeps me up at night. Is that and the reason I'm so passionate about diversity and inclusion in the workplace is because there's so many communities out there globally that have simply not the access. They cannot go to Harvard and study computer science. And it's up to large firms to go out there and develop diverse and inclusive talent, because we've got to increase the talent pool. Because what's happening to me is my guys are getting plucked off after a year to a startup here or a startup there, or I can pay you this much money more than what Dell can pay you. And I mean, it's a bloodbath out there, and they're looking for such good trained talent that the talent pool is not getting big enough. And I agree with what Vinicius just said, and the fact that HR can't necessarily help you all the time because they're not big enough to sometimes drive the talent pool to the size that we need to. And I think we need to come together as an industry to figure out how do we continue to make the talent pool bigger, because there's just not enough of those Harvard consumer computer science engineers that are needed in the industry that is growing.
Yeah. And two comments on these. 3 years ago in VTEX, I am a teacher in EICOM Institute inside Cambridge at Churchill College. But also I am the founder and co-CEO of VTEX. And VTEX 2-3 years ago started with a program called Tetrix. It was made by an intern. And say, what is this project? Say, I want to engage as soon as the engineering entered to the university. I want to engage those guys to the digital career. And then I say, okay, let's do it. And I remember the budget of the project was to take from there kind of 1,000 applications. Eric and Vinicius was the most astonishing thing that ever happened with VTEX. Last year, 76,000 applicants apply for the university challenge that we promote. And it is not, just for VTEX. It is for the ecosystem. People, if they have the opportunity, they will be forged in this amazing career that's to be a digital commerce expert. So it's just a matter, you were spot on, Eric, Vinicius, you also. It is a matter for the private sector to step forward and do not complain anymore. So, the people are not ready to go to the market. Come on, do something, right? Go for them, train them. The second thing, I am very proud that we sponsor a program called Women in Digital. Like I said, Eric, people say, there's a very few developers, very few tech people. And I say, okay, come on, but you are looking in the entire scope of people. So are you investing in training So on this program and together with the DCS program, we are bringing people to the company and paying for them to study. 50% of the time they come, they work, but 50% they study. And I remember investor calling me 3 years ago saying, but why are you doing this? People, because we do not force them to stay in the company. They can go away. And the investor say, no, but you should obligate them to pay you back. And I say, look, this is not the way to do business anymore. This might be the way that a big consulting and banks do it now, or if you deliver freedom, you actually have the bird to be the best for them. So that's why I'm embracing all my clients all over the world. Say, look, don't complain. Don't third party to human resource department. Go after yourself. Put 20% of your time into the hunting and hiring. As Vinicius mentioned, hire the ones that you want, not the ones that you need. So this is a big lesson, and I was not aware that I could find kind of reverberate this kind of topic inside Dell and inside HP, and I'm very very glad.
No,
Thanks a lot
it's a
for.
big deal. Just to close, I mean, we have a program called HPBCU. Typically, we want to go target college that typically have more African Americans as students, and it's typically what Eric said. I mean, those are not typically the college where people would go first,
Yes.
unfortunately, right? But the pool of talent there, it's huge, huge,
Yes.
huge, huge. And by the way, these are people who have a background. They did not grow up in
Yeah.
Silicon Valley where everything is beautiful stars, right? So they
Yeah.
see the difficulty of their parents, their family to do well in life. And that's going to give them a resilience, even
Yes.
if they didn't go to a top Ivy League school, to do much better later, right? So, and to me, that's what, looking for, diversity and inclusion in your talent pool. I mean, it gives a level of reward later for everyone. That's massive.
Yeah. Yeah, fully agree, and very happy to hear this from you guys. Really, literally, I'm surprised. I was expecting like you guys complaining about the organizations that the human resources are not doing their job. So really, really, really glad to hear this.
The thing is just like if you run your business with this in your room, and go
you're
get
you're
your students
gone.
being well used.
But no, I
Doesn't
mean,
work.
it's really it's about access, and who better to give access than companies like the three of ours. I mean, that is
Yes.
what we are here to do. And we have to ensure, like, there are still areas of the United States that don't even have access to the internet. Are you kidding me? Like, we have so much work to do as an enterprise, as colleagues, as people that are in the same industry that care about electronics and e-commerce and all this other stuff. Just imagine what we can do to change the world. And that's just in the US. Think about Brazil, think about India, think about some of these other developing countries that have tons of areas of no access to what we actually sell, and what that could do to the talent pool by
Yeah.
just giving that access.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, I was with the result of we interview a lot of a sample of the 76,000 applicants for Tetrix, and something that pop ups. It was very interesting. Why they're pursuing banking and consulting? It's not because of them. It's because of their fathers and mothers. Their parents are owed to decide their future. And if they are not from the digital industry, they are pushing their kids for a non-future proof career. So what now I decided when I realized that I am not responsible only to create a future for the kid, but also I am creating an event in Latin America that will invite parents to understand what is the digital commerce career, because then they can influence their kids. So it's a unlimited investment that you can have, and I am sure that will pay back. I have no doubt. No
Yeah,
doubt.
I mean, not just to tell a funny story, the way I became at Dell was because I think it was back in '99. My dad just bought a bunch of stock and it just split. He was getting into technology. He goes, "No, Eric, this is the future. This is where you need to go work." I mean, I was offered a temp job, 2 to 11, working Monday, Tuesday, off Fridays and Wednesdays. And he's like, no, you will go work for this technology company because that's the future. And you are absolutely right, Mariano. The influence that parents have on their kids is still massive, massive, massive.
Yeah, and they can't understand what is the digital industry. They just don't trust. It is interesting. So we decided to take the wheels and what we call the future proof ourselves, and I would do that. And I don't know the results. Can be like nothing, but can be explosive. So yeah, and nice to hear. Guys, we need to move for the second topic. As hot as the first one. Thank you very much for your answers in the first one. The second one is all over the world, we are seeing D2C happening in consumer electronics, in massive consumer goods, or any kind of manufacturing industries. Industries and brands are going directly to consumer. And there is a paradigm that says, oh, if I go directly to consumer in countries that I have a big distribution layer, it's going to be a kind of a noise and problem. How do you see this? The question is, do consumer electronic brands have the option to leave D2C out of their strategy? If so, what should they be aware of? It is not easy, I know. It's not easy. That's why it calls future-proof organization.
I think this is a driving force to avoid monopoly in this industry. Because I think that, again, the good thing about technology is it democratized access to a lot of things that before it would be impossible for people to reach, in terms of consumer goods, services, whatever, right? But at the same time, those who have a lot of edge in this space, I mean, will have a level of muscles in business that can represent monopoly. And that's bad for economies, that's bad for societies, that's bad for everyone, bad for the planet, for everything, right? And I think changing the way we do business, and not like it's the way it was before, right? So like the value chain started to become more and more complex as we evolved with the different industrial revolutions. Because before it was like straight direct to consumers, right? So like distribution, reselling, like these things came later. Now technology is enabling people to disintermediate the chain. And the point is, it doesn't mean that one is going to put the other out of business, right? So it's pretty much, I mean, the roles will change. Like I think companies like Dell and HP, what we have the most, we have a massive install base of customers, and we have data to create products and services that will be a way more relevant to all of them, and data that distributors, resellers would not have, because that's not their core business. Now, enabling people to go closer to the end user will enable companies like ours to actually give data to resellers, distributors, to become even more relevant in things that they are good at in their local geographies where they're relevant and people value what they do. But it's a flipping the model where both will win or one will win. What do we want?
Yes, yes, fully agree. Eric, any opinion?
I mean, this is a really, I keep smiling and kind of laughing only because Michael Dell's company was one of the most, his whole entire business model was about being direct to the customer. You know, in 1984, he had this amazing idea that, hey, we can kind of build to order and ship it directly to the consumer. It's funny that, and then, you know, when we started losing share to our friends at HP here on the top of the screen, it was, hey, you didn't move quickly enough to the channel. And then voila, here we are in 2021 talking about the importance of being direct to the consumer. I laugh because the fact of the matter is that customers want choice. And what the internet and what technology has done is it's driven the element of choice even more. Customer choice rules everything. And if you think there's any company out there that's going to be able to figure out the psychology of every single consumer and the way that they deem choice, you're crazy, right? And the more and more that these other companies come out that are DTC, you know, I'll tell you, over the pandemic, I think every piece of clothing I bought was from some new clothing company that showed up on my Instagram. I never shopped like that. right? I was a big time. I love retail. I love the going in and the energy. I'm an extrovert, so there's everything about retail I love. But you know, when you're not given that choice, you still want to shop. So now I have more choice, and so I think the way that the consumer electronic industry is going to have to evolve is that there's so much market that there's a room for everyone to win. Right? At Dell Technologies, we're not going to stop being direct to consumer, but we're not going to stop being customers with Best Buy. Like there's customers that prefer Best Buy. There's people that prefer to sit in their house and buy directly from the manufacturer.
Yeah, and it's all about creating optionalities, right? It's what Vinicius said, what you said. Society, it has more money than time.
That's right.
And I need to take care of putting these in a public event, just with all the disclaimers that the majority of the consumer base has much more money than time. So actually, they are not channel. You cannot put channels for them. They do not respect channels. They want to see here, they want to pay there, they want to pick up here. And this is going to be a kind of a composable experience that there is no anymore, in my opinion, D2C, because actually you're going to advertise in your branded store. People will see it, then you're going to sell, you drop the order to the distributors to deliver. And it's going to be an ecosystem that allows anywhere that you have the product to be accessed by the client, that it will be anywhere. So it's a future-proof thing for me. And the only thing that avoid big and bold initiatives of organizations on D2C, it is the ego of the executives, the ego of even the company. But there is something bigger than the ego of the executives and the company. It is the long-term value for the shareholders. I remember a guy that I respect a lot, John Thompson. It was the chairman of Microsoft. And I have the opportunity to interview him in Harvard Club. And I asked him, like here, like they just don't know the questions. That's the way I believe people can really share knowledge. So I asked him, say, look, John, in the same moment of your life, you pass through three biggest changes. Steve Ballmer out of the command of the company, Bill Gates out of the board of the company, and you authorize Satya to write off the windows. That's a hell of a week, right? So, and I asked him why, and the answer was amazing. Say, because it was the obvious to do. Because it is to protect the value of the shareholders in the long term that we should put ourselves at risk. And this is all you are talking about, guys. If the executives and the companies do not put themselves at risk, they will not have the optionality to survive. As Vinicius said, or they do, or the market will take it from them. So really nice to hear.
This is one of the biggest, I'd say, roadblocks that companies have when they want to innovate. I think one of the biggest schools of product in Silicon Valley is what Apple has done, which is a very simple, but I mean, one of the biggest fears that people have, simply because it's our biology to fear things, right? We're not meant to love transformation. Everybody who says that, oh, I love transformation and change, liar. We're not humans built for that, right? But what Apple has thought here is, don't be afraid of self-cannibalize yourself, right? So now, I mean, there's a reason why there's a new iPhone every 12 months. Before it was like every 2 years, every 12 months. Now they're dictating the pace of the market.
Yes.
Like if you are the one self-cannibalizing, your competitor is not doing that job for you. Like, because if you fear that, I mean, if you try to stretch your product until the very last day that it can give you a profit, I mean, somebody else is going to do that work for you. So you better cannibalize yourself. Otherwise, somebody will do the work. And it's sooner or later, but it's you choose. It's a matter of when, right? So, and it's still something that people fear because, I mean, there's a lot at stake. And that's the biggest math that sometimes it's hard to close.
Yes, and people, one of my new thesis, academic thesis, it is to study the way of kill the annual bonus of the executives, because the annual goals are destroying value for the shareholders. Annual goals are making executives to just see like a short term, and in digital, if you do not put yourself at risk for 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row, you will be lost. So, how you guide transformation, for me, is something related to the comp as well. So, and changing the comp incentives will change the way organizations can thrive in the future. It is. We have 5 minutes more on this topic. How you fight from HP and Dell? I mean, categories that I would put like retailers and brand manufacturers against technology companies like Amazon, Google, and those kind of guys. How can you fight to find talents? What people are, and now I'm seeing these people are leaving these big techs. Why? Could you give me your feeling around why people are pursuing companies like HP and Dell and VTEX, and leaving these big giants? Do you have any opinion on this?
I mean, again, I think there's probably 8 ways to answer this question, and I'm not saying that I have the secret recipe of it, but I have to say culture becomes a really important piece here. And if you really want to future proof your organization, you have to focus on culture. And one of the things that I am so impressed with, and the reason probably why I've worked at the same company for 22 years, which is unheard of in this day and age, is that Michael and his ELT have focused on this culture code and this idea of culture and what kind of company we want to be. And we tout probably being an ethical company more than we tout being one of the biggest technology companies. We do celebrate the annual wins and we do celebrate share gains and all that other stuff every big company does. But what becomes super important is when we start sharing that we are becoming more diverse and inclusive in technology. When we get 100% on the Human Rights Campaign Corporate Equality Index for the 17th year in a row, we have a big celebration about it. Like, it really is about, especially when you look at the talent today thinks about social responsibility. They think about what you're doing for the environment. They think about what you're doing for your talent. They're looking at what technology are you providing them so that they can do their jobs more efficiently. And I think this idea of culture is so incredibly important. Now, if I'm being honest and transparent, because that's what you wanted to do, as I wish I could take a shot of bourbon, but I don't think I could do that at 12:37 on a workday. I worry about how COVID and how not going back to site or having this hybrid work environment, it almost generalizes the culture. Like it almost says, hey, how do you innovate on culture when everybody is looking through the same screen? That's why I spend time doing these meetings with people like you, because they want to see their executives having these really smart, intelligent, important conversations so that we are continuing to innovate around how we're keeping our people engaged and motivated and involved in the culture. It becomes so incredibly important, because if you just go in and do the same thing over and over and over, you okay, check, I got it on my resume, but you know what, I'm going to move on to the next thing. And I'm not saying that's bad, but if we constantly are worrying about turnover in our industry, you're not going to be able to actually drive that innovation, drive that change, drive that what's needed in the market in order to be successful right now, and to your point, future-proof the organization.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm hearing a lot, Eric, is that when they feel their leaders vulnerable, they connect.
Mm-hmm.
Because the old school of the untouchable leader, that the leader that doesn't make mistakes, the perfect one, it's it's not the way anymore to connect. It's that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that. So and you guys to be here, it's vulnerability, talking about very sensible topics, and you're just hitting it like as you were in your house taking bourbon. So this is how you guide society, because it is not anymore. Um, I spoke to my the other co-founder of VTEX, Geraldo, the other founder of VTEX, Geraldo. I spoke 2 days ago. Say, look, could we consider that today companies are not companies anymore and they became communities? And community has a different dynamic to manage. If you understand company as a company, you see the work chart, you see a lot of things. Community has different values on how to transfer power, how to aggregate value, and it's something to think about, right? You don't need to be in an entire company as an attractive unit. Your unit can be a community that people will be proud to be part of. So you will start attracting internal, and then you're gonna start attracting like a friends of the internal ones that came, and then you start to become a community. And I am seeing these in big organizations, silos of communities, and this is a good topic to discuss. Vinicius, are you seeing?
It's a big one. It's a big one. And, I think the cultural thing is people. Like, I've been around here for quite some time, and I'm in a place where people jump ship every 2 years. I said, "What? Are you seeing the same company?" I said, "Yeah." And I say, because of what? Because of the people. Like, we've just published our latest Voice of the Workforce survey, that with a big annual one. Like, year after year, I mean, HP folks, I mean, they say, we love the people of this company. We like the job because of the people. We like the company because of the people and the community we represent. And you don't do that for 80 years without the culture. And the culture evolves, right? But in the end of the day, I mean, everybody perceives that they are owners of the company. They are co-founders of the company, right? And that's huge, because in the end of the day, if you see all this hype in tech, I mean, you see CEOs, in many places that are not so nice to be these days to give interviews. And who are the companies where the leadership team represented the designated driver of the night, right? Those are the ones that historically have built a company that is above all ethical. And the important thing is, like, anytime that I interview somebody, the reason why they want to leave their jobs, they don't want to quit their jobs, they are quitting their bosses. Like, you can ask, like, they can say everything, they're quitting their bosses. And the culture makes a boss a real leader and a good person, right? And this has nothing to do being nice. It means that, hey, it's transparent the way we do things. And to me, that's where companies will make a difference here, right? So it doesn't matter the brand. People will learn what makes a company a good place to go. Besides salary, besides the brand, besides the hype, whatever. People want a great place to be.
I think that's so important, and not only what you just said, but Mariano, what you said about this idea of community. I can remember when I was early in my career, and it was a little bit taboo to be out of the closet, but I knew I was going to be who I was, and I remember people saying, "Hey, personal is personal and work is work." And while that is true, there's no way you can be in a place for 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, and it not be personal, right? There's no way that some of our very best friends, now we're all a little bit older in our career, that some of our very best friends in our life don't come from our job, right? This idea of things are separated is crazy. And what we need to remember is that this idea of inclusivity, of belonging, of including everybody in really important conversations, that vulnerability, being able to be yourself, bringing your authentic self to work. They all sound like really cliche and taboo, but it's so true. And I guarantee you, if you want to future-proof your organization, putting your money where your mouth is when it comes to words like belonging, inclusivity, and authenticity, and being able to bring your full authentic self to work and giving 150%. That's how you future-proof your organization, because people feel like they can give everything when they're in at 12 or 14 hours a day, and they don't have to hide or be somebody else. And I think that's why some of these bigger companies that have been around a while that kind of understand this, I think are really being the leaders among this conversation, because we've been through it all and we do realize it. And to see companies like HP and Dell kind of leading this has been really exciting for me, for sure.
In the end, people don't want more free lunch, perks. I mean, candy bars and beer available. People want the freedom to be who they are. The freedom to eat candies and perks during their work time.
Yeah. And something that we state a lot in VTEX is that culture is the sum of our daily basis conversations. Culture is not something that you put in the book and it's there. Culture, it's something that you how you talk, how you listen. This is culture. So just quoting a situation, I think you all are aware, we were public July 21st. And the day that we were public, one of our first employees, called Rafael Campos, he came to me in the day of the IPO and said, "Look, my dream would be to enter there and ring the bell with the queer flag, I say, but yeah, I don't know what this can communicate." And say, "Rafa, this is what we are. We are authentic. So doesn't matter what will generate. It's us. Let's do it." So probably VTEX was the first company to be public in ringing the bell with a flag, and was there. And it is important to embrace the idea that people can be a reference voice for no matter what you are defending or standing for. You can be a reference voice, and for years and kind of decades, our parents, probably you are in my age, or I'm the oldest one here, but you are in the same generation. Our parents taught us to avoid uh, to be different since always, and then we realized that culture has been a combination of a daily based conversation of very different people. It is what people are looking for. This generation that's joining the job today, they Google knowledge, so they are not willing to go for a company for knowledge anymore, and they are in a full employment economy, so they just don't care about the money and the assets, because the world is not based on assets anymore. So what they care about, it is how you talk, how you listen, how you have your conversations, and this is all about community. So really nice that we brought these here. Uh, I have one question, and I will ask Vinicius to answer very fast because we need to go for the last question here from Vinicius from the audience. What does Vinicius do to adapt himself to new changes in a fast and ready to market way? How do you keep yourself in a vulnerable position, Vinicius?
That's a hard. I'll try to be brief here. Number one, work every day like if you were the intern when you started in the company. Like when I was the intern, I was kicking doors. I was the guy. This guy's a pain. Like, yeah, because I was defending the customer. That's what made me grow. Like, keep that internship mindset until the rest of your life. Lifelong learner, and especially for us, like being a leader it's an honor. Like it's our job to open doors for those to go and do the same. But again, vulnerability, right? So we need to face that. It's natural for humans to feel fear first. eliminate that. The sooner you can eliminate that from the equation, the more the business will grow and the faster you'll move. How do you do that? Fire yourself as a leader in front of your team and in front of everybody else. By that I mean, look, this is going to be risky. We've got to do it. Here's the thing. Here's my badge before we start. If that doesn't work, it's me who is going to respond, and I'll be fired. Nobody else here, but you guys go and do your work. The point is, don't be afraid of literally being a leader. And being a leader means you are a general in the field, fighting first, not asking your team to go and do the hard work, and then you disappear when things don't happen, right? So to me, that's the biggest one. It's the way to captivate your team, because if you have a team that is engaged, you don't need anything else. Like, you got loyal people one by one, and not people who pretend that they're loyal and they're looking for a job at night, and you criticize them in front of your boss to use them as scapegoats. To me, having a team that is loyal to you, it's the biggest difference you can make.
Yeah,
Everything happen, everything else will happen.
I remember a guy that came to be a student from Eastern Europe that came to me in Econ in Cambridge, and he said, "No, I am looking to do a logistic course in Harvard." And I said, "Why?" He said, "No, I want to update my career." I say, "Let me invite you to think on that. You're gonna spend 1 year and a half inside a room looking for books that are describing 10 years max updated reality. Once today, logistics is an empirical knowledge industry. So besides go to Harvard, could you evaluate to be a picker inside the fulfillment facility for 3 months, and then jumping in a carrier and be a driver for more 3 months, and then you go and sit in the customer care of a big retailer during the Black Friday for more like 3 months. Say, I can guarantee you that in 9 months you're gonna have more empirical knowledge than can even Harvard can gives you. I don't know if the guy did or not, but it is that like put yourself in the field. It's empirical knowledge. Do it. Not like just say to the ones that you are studying, or like future proof your career by doing it. So let's go for the third and last question. Now I would keep talking here with you guys for hours. Um, Last thing, as a trade and logistic normalize after like this COVID, and now after these kind of bumps, there's a growing trend to be more than ever global trade, global commerce. It is a reality. I remember 3, 4 months ago, a VP of VTEX that lives in New York bought from Apple.com, and what arrives in his home was an envelope with the iPhone shipping from China. I have the label until today because I say, look, I will use this in in a, in a class. So global commerce, connections between all the franchises that you have in the world. Big companies like you guys have different companies in each regions. How are you seeing this environment that also it was the Chinese guys that created this for us, and now if the companies do not jump in the cross border or global trade, they will be out of the game. So, and this is something that is gonna come as powerful as was the mobile thing. I remember 5 years ago the mobile was 10%, and suddenly, in exponential explosion, came to 80%. Global commerce, it is in the same trend. So how these will affect the market, not your companies, but you both as a professional, as this expert of this topic, how do you think the global commerce will affect our industry?
I mean, I don't think it ever stops. I mean, our industry in general is almost kind of like a cost plus type industry. It's how do we continue to be aligned with what the market says products are going to be? How do we make sure that we keep competitive with costs? How do we continue to drive, the right relationships with suppliers? I do believe that technology is still going to play a huge role in all of this as we continue to figure this kind of cost slash market game across all industries. And I think that's kind of going to be the unknown. And I think where I think all companies, including us big ones, are trying to figure out how do we continue to do what's right on the global stage? How do we ensure what we're doing, what our customers want? How do we continue to be as ethical as we possibly can? And how do we stay competitive? I think that it's hard to believe that every single company out there is going to be able to drive some type of premium because they're going to do logistics or whatever it might be in a different way. So I think this is probably one of the hardest and best questions that you've asked, Mariano, as we think about future proofing, because I think this is probably what keeps most executives up at night. And I think as long as we have executives, succession plans that are about ethics, that are about making sure that we're delivering good, quality, reliable products to our customers, that we're trying to do what's right for the world, that we're doing what's right for sustainability, that we're trying to protect the environment. I think that the global trade will continue to help us do that, because I believe there are certain belief systems that are somewhat consistent across all of us. And as long as we continue to do that and continue to work together as a global trade organization, we will continue to do the right things. But again, it goes back to what Vinicius says earlier about leadership. It really does become about leadership and who will lead us through this change, and how do we do it the right way, and how do we make sure that we're being as efficient and as reliable to our customer base as we possibly can. I think that is what becomes the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think the if you think about the evolution of businesses, like before HP and Dell were competing for, okay, who has the thinnest, the quickest device, the most sleek one. Yes, there is differentiation there, but in a world where a lot of people still don't have education, don't have internet, spreading devices, it's a way to keep the world evolving. But in the end of the day, people are not buying devices. They want to more and more acquire experiences that will put them on a playing field globally. A kid in India today does not accept anything less than what they see already, a kid in America and in Brazil. And that's what technology does. But again, what we sell today, I mean, these are gateways to a better future. But if we do not have those gateways spread across those 8 billion people in the planet, a lot of people still don't have a laptop. A lot. Right? So it's going to be hard for people to get to close the gap in education, because that's how the world is consuming things.
Yeah.
Right?
So what you are saying is that we are just scratching the surface of the big kind of revolution that is coming, right? It's billions of people that didn't even touch in a computer, and these will be arbitrated in the near future, we hope, and this will create a reality, a future proof for those as well. We need to finish. I will let you give you like the last message for our audience, but let me say you something. I was talking with a journalist about collaborative commerce. What it means that any company will sell anything from anywhere to any client. It doesn't matter where they're based. It's a kind of a community relation that the brand will have with the consumer. And the journalist is from like not related to technology, and she didn't understand. And I say, look, let me give an example. I'm gonna have an event in 7 days' time that I have invited one of the remarkable leaders inside Dell to talk and share knowledge with one of the remarkable leaders in HP. If it was 15 years ago, we need to have like 3 months of clearance to put both of you to be vulnerable together in front of hundreds of people. And I explained to her, say, look, and they're going to be there. They're going to be sharing every single piece of their knowledge, believing that this is the better for their community, for their company, and this is not even questionable. This is the collaborative commerce. So I'm really glad that we are transforming the industry by transforming ourselves. And now I would like to address the last message from yourself, Eric and Vinicius. One sentence for an intern that's doing arts, and one sentence of a CEO of a $1 billion company. What they should remember from this session as future-proofing their career and organization. What you would tell them?
Oh, that's a hard one, Mariano.
It is.
We should have scripted this.
That's a future-proof organization's about. It's a hard one. One sentence. Imagine yourself in front of a kid. Say, what would you tell them? Imagine yourself in front of a CEO of a billion-dollar operation.
I'm going to tell you what I tell. It's not interns, but like I said, I have hundreds of college students coming to my organization every time. And this is what I tell them. I said, if you're looking for a beer tap in the break room, if you're looking for a red bouncy ball under your desk, if you're looking for free trips around the world, you're working for the wrong place. If you want to learn about business, if you want to learn about the future of technology, if you want to learn about what innovation really looks like, then you should work for Dell for 25 years like I have. So I think that is probably what I would say to an intern, because I think that's really future proof. I loved that conversation we had around culture and around learning and around development versus perks. I think that really is about future proofing your organization.
Thank you.
It's a great one. I'll start with the other. What I would tell a CEO is get out of the building, stop managing your business with remote control, right? People love to do business with people. Humans love humans. Despite all the technology,
True.
We still love humans. And look, day and night we compete, Dell and HP, but how many things we share in common here? And we have appreciation for one another, because humans and the respect for humans come first. If you want to have a better team, go into the trenches and do the job yourself. And to an intern or a student, don't listen to the streets. Listen to your instincts first, right? So find a company where the culture will enable your purpose to flourish. And as you do that, you're going to help a company to grow, not the other way around, or not one at the expense of the other. Your personal growth needs to bring growth to an organization. If that's not clear, go for the next company. And I think that's what companies like HP and Dell, have a very strong element in the culture.
And to the CEO, I would say practice what you preach.
Exactly. And Mariano, thank you very much for you and the entire VTEX team. And congratulations for all the work you've done. I'm so proud of seeing that. Like, these days you hear a lot of the unicorn stories, and when they go public, you see there was a donkey under the hood, right? But what you guys are doing, literally bringing technology across the globe and, closing the breach between consumers and companies and giving access to things like that's impressive. And kudos to all of you and for everything you've been doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vinicius. The words means a lot. Eric, thank you a lot. I need to close. We are 3 minutes ahead of our time. There's a limit because some of the medias that are transmitting cut us in 1 hour, and they are keeping us back there. So it's a good topic. Thank you very much. Remembering the audience that this video will be available, and you can share this video with your colleagues, with your parents, with your sons and daughters, and let them know these are vulnerable leaders that creates a future-proof organizations. Thank you very much, guys.
Bye. Have a good one.